Welcome everybody to the Sleeper Wire Show. Week 1 is in the books and Week 2 is now here. Hard to believe that Week 2 has already come and gone after all the time we spend, prepping for the draft and then drafting and everything, and we are already past 1 week into the season. Hopefully everybody is 1-0 in all of their leagues. I am, of course, joined with the trusty trio, starting with Prophet Hoos. How's it going, man?
How does it go, man? It's Week 2. It's getting, getting there. Well, no,
getting there. That's right.
It's Week 2.
And Hoos, guess who we finally have back on the show today?
Who do we have? Who do we find?
Dirty freaking Jobs, man. Mike.
You found him somewhere in Tampa, somewhere in Florida. He was no longer just roaming in Wyoming. Now he's roaming in Florida. Can never find this guy. How do we get him on the show?
The gutters of Tampa emerges. Just finally getting all settled in and everything like that. And man, it's good to be back on the show with you guys.
Like you weren't here last week.
I wasn't here last week.
You were on the show with us last week.
No, it was It was you, me, and Rob.
Oh yeah, you were.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, mail sack. You were on the mail sack.
That's right.
You were on the sack that is mail.
That's right. Well, guys, let's go ahead and hop into the show here because no bye week since we are only in Week 2, so we have a ton of stuff to get to. Quick question, and Hoos, let's try to keep it a little quick.
I don't know, man. I got stuff.
Question to both of you guys. Are you keeping Hunter Henry on your team? He suffered a tibia plateau fracture during the game against the Colts last week. The recovery time is usually 4 to 6 weeks, but I don't know how realistic that is with Hunter Henry's history. The Chargers are, quote, hopeful to get him back this season, but Mike, are you keeping him on your roster or are you dropping him?
I think I'm keeping him. I want to see how fast. I mean, this guy tends to recover quicker than other people. It seemed like he was getting back. We were talking about him coming back for the playoffs last year, even. So, I guess I don't know. I think I hold on to him. He's a good enough tight end. It's a dark enough landscape that is the tight end landscape that I think I'm holding on to him.
Yeah, I think if it's an IR spot, then for sure he's the guy you want to throw in there. But let's say if you don't have an IR spot, or if it's already, if you got Tyreek Hill and he's there, AJ Green and he's there, Hoos, what are you doing with Hunter Henry?
I do not want to drop Hunter Henry, but I can understand if you need to. If there's no IR spot
coming into the season, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't want to drop a top 5 tight end, but if you don't have an IR spot and you have a short bench, I understand if you need to. I would just say if you do that, and you're lucky enough that no one jumps out there and picks him up next week, the week after that, you need to pick him right back up. Because that's 1 week, basically, you were able to not have him on your team taking up a bench spot, and you could get someone else on there. So
this is one of those situations that we encounter every year where a guy goes down, and is probably going to be back, but the guy goes down. And you don't want to drop him because as soon as you do, someone else will pick him up. Yeah. But also no one's going to trade for him either. No.
I mean, I was actually contemplating trading for him in a few leagues and just offering, just like someone, like maybe I picked up Amendola and see someone needs, a wide receiver. Their wide receivers kind of didn't pan out the first week and they're already nervous. I say, hey, here's Amendola. Give me Hunter Henry. I'll put him in my IR, especially if I have an IR. That's a no-brainer for me.
Sorry, I thought Mike was going to jump in there.
I thought I already said something about it.
Mike thought we was going to move on.
All right, so let me just run one situation by you here. So this actually happened in my listener league. I was able to get Darren Waller with Fab off of waivers, which was pretty awesome, especially since this news about Hunter Henry didn't come out until after waivers ran. I've got Tyreek Hill in the IR spot. Henry is obviously IR eligible, but if I have to drop one of the two, obviously I'm not dropping Tyreek Hill. So I've got Darren Waller to throw in there now. But if I need that 6th bench spot, are you okay with dropping Hunter Henry if you've got someone like Darren Waller to back him up?
If you are dropping Darren Waller, if you are dropping him for Darren Waller, if you need it, sure. If you already have Darren Waller and you're looking to drop him for just say one other piece that you might use on a weekly basis, I would say no. I'd still rather have Hunter Henry, because as the weeks are leading up, and if say Darren Waller is turned out to be a top 5 tight end, you can trade Hunter Henry at that point, or you can trade Darren Waller at that point for someone who doesn't have a top 5 tight end, a top 10 tight end at that point, and now you're getting value and you can boost up one of your other skill positions.
Yeah, well, to me, the reason why that you have bench spots is for this purpose right here, is for stashing guys like Hunter Henry. For that exact purpose. If I have Waller, hell yeah, I'm playing Waller until Hunter Henry comes back, and I might trade either one of them. I feel like at that point in the season, you can get some serious value for a decent tight end.
Well, let's figure out where the line might be. So there are plenty of people out there who Hunter Henry was their only tight end. So they need to pick someone up, and suppose they're interested in maybe letting Hunter Henry go because they might have to. Would you drop him for Jack Doyle?
No.
Probably not.
Jason Witten?
No.
Blake Jarwin?
No.
Cameron Brate?
No.
Jordan Reed?
No,
Maybe.
Because it's the same thing. I'm worrying
What
about
Vernon Davis?
Vernon Davis, I would.
Yeah, if I need a tight end,
okay.
Sure.
All right. Just wanted to talk about where that line might be for those who might have to drop him. All right, well, let's go ahead and get into the news. We're going to kind of go through this pretty fast because we're going to break a lot of this stuff down when we get into the matchups. But Antonio Brown, once again in the news. He was accused of 3 separate incidents of sexual assault and rape. A federal lawsuit was filed on Tuesday. He did practice Wednesday. Real quick, if he suits up this week, are you playing him?
If he suits up 100%, I'm playing him. There's no reason for me not to. He's going to be playing with the best quarterback he's ever had in his career. Granted, obviously, the chemistry is there, but hey, we wanted him to have a better quarterback. This is why I was skeptical week 1 when we were doing the Melsack, and you and Lucas had him in your top 8, and I said, you guys are nuts, especially when attached to Derek Carr, but attach him to Tom Brady, and you say top 8? Hey, I'm not arguing with you so much more. So, heck yeah, I'm starting Antonio Brown when he's got it. Whoa, that's just, that's going to be so good. I'm thinking about going to that game.
Wow, that'd be a good game.
Yeah, it's going to be a blowout. There's the narrative that a lot of people are bringing up that, they don't need Antonio Brown to beat the Dolphins, so they're probably not going to play him much. Mike, how do you side with that?
I think that he might go out there and play like it's his last game that he's going to get to play for a while if this thing has any foundation to it. So I'm definitely going to get him out there and play him. I figure that they'll probably just use him the one time they can because they might be sitting there along the same philosophy. They might even be using Antonio Brown just to save Philip Dorsett for later on in the season.
Yeah, and Dorsett, man, I'm really glad Mike brought him up because if he didn't, I was going to. Dorsett, if something happens to Antonio Brown, I know a lot of people are talking about who's going to back up, with Hunter Henry sitting, who's going to get, the more snaps and targets between Travis Benjamin and whoever else is there. But I think people are forgetting about, really, really forgetting about Philip Dorsett. If there's no Antonio Brown, Philip Dorsett is going to have a year.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's go ahead and move on. Tyreek Hill, we all know about the injury. He is out, as we mentioned earlier. Don't drop him. Stash him in your IR spot, and even if you don't have one, keep him on your roster. He's expected to miss 4 to 6 weeks. That is a long time, but just a guy you got to hold on to. Joe Mixon is day-to-day with his ankle injury. His goal is to play, which I think that's the goal for most players. They want to be out there. But we're going to get into this a little bit more later. Guys, Darius Geis, another injury. He's having Dr. James Andrews, which is the name that you never want your fantasy player to visit, right? Anytime you hear Dr. James Andrews, it's not good. He's having him look at the meniscus in his non-ACL knee. It's a 4 to 6 week recovery if he has the surgery. Mike, even if he has it, we hear this 4 to 6 recovery. Do you think there's a chance that he actually even plays this season?
I don't think so. I bet they'll pull him out. I bet we see him on the IR before too long, just to open up the roster spot.
Bryce Love, guys. I will say Bryce Love. If you're able to pick up Bryce Love and stash him, Bryce Love might be the guy that is the guy we're drafting next year. And maybe we're not even talking about Darius Geis, and maybe he's just one of these injury guys that you hype him up and you can't really count on him too much. And Bryce Love might end up being the guy. Adrian Peterson, he's going to start, but he's old. As much as I love Chris Thompson, he can't take every snap or, would love it, but he's going to get injured if that happened also. So, Bryce Love, eventually, I think he's an interesting stash.
And last little bit here, Le'Veon Bell got an MRI on his shoulder. Stay tuned for more on that as it comes in. Obviously, he's most likely going to play unless unless he gets pulled out. But that's kind of obvious. But he wants to be out there. I think we can assume Bell is going to play with the information we know at this point, right?
Yeah, I'm not worried about him.
Yeah, he's fine.
Before we get into the matchups, today's show is sponsored by Pristine Auction. It's this awesome site. They have hundreds of daily auctions for all kinds of memorabilia. It's free to join, and it is free to bid, and you only pay when you win. And right now, for the first time ever, we have a promo code here, SleeperWire. You can get $5 off of your first item by entering promo code SleeperWire. Visit pristineauction.com to get this deal. That's PRISTINE auction.com. So moving into the matchups here, Thursday Night Football, we are recording. There are 5 minutes and 36 seconds left in the first quarter, according to my stream anyway. You guys might be a little bit ahead. Bucks at Panthers. Guys, it's 3-0, and we're more than 10 minutes into the game. Is this what you expected?
Not at all. No, I thought this was going to be a scoring bonanza. They just missed a touchdown, too, the Bucks.
Yeah, that was unfortunate.
I think it's going to be an explosive second half.
Me too.
The Bucks' running game looks atrocious.
It does. It's so bad.
I hope they give the ball to Dare more.
Yeah, I think, honestly, they should see what he has. They know what they have in Peyton Barber. They're pretty sure what they have in Ronald Jones. Why not give Ogunbowale a chance?
Yep. Yeah, he in his, albeit it was preseason, and even last week, I think he looked pretty good in the passing game. And if they just give him the rock like Arians likes to use, just one guy, I think it will end up happening. I think Dare could be a decent RB2-3 for you. Not 2, but RB3 for you. See,
the thing is, he doesn't know who that guy is, and I'm not sure he's going to decide anytime soon. If you look at the splits last week, it was basically 1/3, 1/3, 1/3
right.
when it came to snaps.
Right. Yeah, so hopefully by the week 4 or so, we see it happening. I do think that will happen. I can't see Bruce Arians doing this the whole year.
I mean, probably not. But I have some leagues where Peyton Barber and Ronald Jones are both on waivers.
Yeah, I mean, if you want, if you need like 7 to 8 points, they're going to give you that, and sometimes that's all you need. You're stacked at other positions, and you just need, like 7 or 8 points just so you're not taking a 0 at that point.
Yeah, but you can probably get those 7 or 8 points from someone on your bench.
Hopefully, yeah. I mean, if you draft it, hopefully you can.
Anyways, let's move on. McCaffrey looks great.
Beast.
There's not much to say. It's 3-0. We don't have to break this down. If exciting things happen, of course we will break it down as it goes. Moving into the Sunday matchups, kicking it off, Arizona Cardinals at Baltimore Ravens. Starting with the Cardinals, really the only guy I'm interested in playing is probably Larry Fitzgerald. What about you guys?
Well, David Johnson.
Oh, and David Johnson. I forgot to put him in the show notes. That is my bad.
And,
yes.
I think you can also pay. Obviously, you're going to pay Kyler. Kyler threw the ball 54 times last week, guys. Can we talk about that? I mean, Cliff Kingsbury, he is who we thought he was, I guess. That's a lot of times. I mean, there wasn't that many quarterbacks that threw the ball 30 times last week. Kirk Cousins. I mean,
yeah, dude, 10 passes. We'll get into that.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring that up. So yeah, I think Kyler Murray, easy start. Okay, Curtis Samuel, that's what we've been waiting for. 44 yards, pretty nice.
Big play. Cam is 5 for 5.
Yeah, Cam. Cam looks good out there. Go back into thoughts. Yeah, I forgot what was it. Sorry, that play threw me off.
Let's move to the Ravens side of the ball, the one that people are probably much more excited to talk and hear about after last week, the absolutely blowout of the Miami Dolphins. Lamar Jackson and his 5 touchdowns now welcome the Arizona Cardinals. He was lights out. I tweeted after about his 3rd touchdown. I was like, Lamar Jackson's going for the Heisman again.
Oh yeah, he doesn't know it, but he's trying.
He looked like he was playing for it.
He's on pace for 80 touchdowns.
Dude, he had like 4 rushes for like 6 yards. And that wasn't even a part of the game. Like, imagine when he starts. Lamar Jackson, man. Is he Patty Mahomes this year?
I wanted to say that they were up so much they didn't need him to run, but they were also up so much they didn't need to keep throwing the ball either. At what point is it like, all right, guys, enough's enough. You're killing them. They're not going to win.
I don't care, man. When you're looking at Lamar Jackson, we wanted to see. This is one of the themes that we wanted to see into the season. Are they going to be strictly a running team? Is he going to be a strictly running back, or quarterback, So we wanted to see this, and it was nice to find sleep. And where's JM on the Sleeper Wire show to talk about his guy, Lamar Jackson, who he absolutely loves? Probably the guy the biggest guy in the fantasy industry that talks about Lamar Jackson, I would have to say, is John Michael.
Yeah, Jackson probably could have thrown 6 or 7 touchdowns, because didn't RG3 come in and throw one too?
Yeah, he did. I'm not sure if he threw a touchdown, but he did look decent, and yeah.
Oh, I thought he threw one. I might be misremembering. Let's go ahead and move on. Mark Ingram, actually. I think Mark Ingram is someone you got to play this week. What about you, Mike?
Yeah, no, I'm all over Mark Ingram. I've got him on all kinds of leagues, and I'm loving that. He looked really good last week. He got the touchdown. I think he just fits in. I think that Baltimore offense is the real deal.
God, Christian McCaffrey can gain no yards and still look awesome.
He's just such a beast of a back.
So good. Mark
good.
Andrews. We got this question. I heard you guys get it on the mail sack from, I think it was the first guy who... Thank you to everyone who called in and was on hold for so long, because that first call went on for like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But, which is awesome. We might have to institute a different policy next week to keep it a little bit shorter, keep people not waiting on hold for 40 minutes. But one of the questions I heard, and Mike, I'm pretty sure you answered it along with Lucas, and it was Darren Waller or Mark Andrews this week, because a lot of people have that question.
Yeah, see, and for me it was Mark Andrews, because I feel like he's going to just continue to be this beast of a tight end that fits in a system that Lamar Jackson likes throwing to. So get me on board with him. That's who I'm starting this week. I like Waller, but I like him more.
Where do you side?
You got to roll out Andrews. I mean, I like them both, obviously. If you got them both, I'd probably flex one, depending on your flex situation. But yeah, I won't mind it at all. I like them both. I'd start Andrews.
I lean towards Waller. I want the guy who's on the field for the entire game.
I can understand that.
Hollywood Brown, also a monster game. 2 huge touchdowns, but only played, 14% of snaps?
Yeah, same situation. So
yeah. So is he someone, obviously he's someone that everybody wanted to pick up. Is he someone that you would be willing to flex, or do you want to see it again from him? Because I lean towards, I want to see it again.
He feels like he's going to be Kenny Stills.
Yeah. Boomer bust. Huge boomer bust. That's how I feel about him, too. I liked what I saw, but I don't think we'll see a lot of that.
I like it.
See, do you feel
love
like it's
it in the best ball.
Do you feel like it's going to be Kenny Stills, or do you feel like it's going to be Will Fuller?
Stills.
Okay. Just wanted to verify. Let's move on to the second game. Los Angeles Chargers at Detroit Lions. Chargers, a lot of stuff going on for them. We've got Phillip Rivers, Austin Eckler, Justin Jackson, Keenan Allen. Mike Williams went down with a knee injury last week. He is day-to-day. We talked about Hunter Henry extensively at the beginning of the show, because our quick question is never quick, which is fine. Rivers had a good day against the Colts. Austin Eckler had a monster day against the Colts,
he did.
who should have beat the Chargers. Vinatieri, Colts need to cut him. He's washed. 2 field goals and an extra point. Like, I appreciate and love everything he's done for the Colts, all the games he's won. But when you lose the game, like Colts would have won by 7. When you lose the game because you missed 3 kicks, come on.
Yeah. I mean,
the Bears cut someone because he missed 1.
Making you look real by it because
yeah.
Yep,
the Colts would have won that game. And how ballsy was it for them to go for a 2-point conversion and do a handoff?
Ballsy or stupid?
Ballsy, man. It worked.
It was still stupid.
I find it ballsy, but I think it's done. I think you should toss it right there. I think you want to give your team the best opportunity, and for me, that's the pass. It's too easy to run on the 2.
Not with the way that offensive line and Marlon Mack were playing, though.
Yeah, they were looking good. Yeah, they were.
Anyways,
definitely
sorry,
good, but I
get way too excited to talk about the Colts.
It's okay. It's okay. They look very good. And you know what? Like, when we get to that, are we on that game? Did we move past it already?
No. Oh, that's the next one we're talking about. But Hoos, I'm going to give you 1 minute starting now to talk about Austin Eckler because we're not spending 30 minutes on him. Go.
Oh my God! Just 1 minute.
1 minute.
Okay. Can I get some? Can you cue up some music, Rob? Like some love music.
You're killing about 8 seconds here.
It's okay.
45.
Cue up the love music. All right, man. Austin Eckler. What can I say about this guy? He is the guy. He's probably my second favorite back aside from Chris Thompson. Right? I'm smiling like ear to ear talking about Austin Eckler right now because he's finally got his shot. And I've always said if this guy just gets his shot. And I'm glad Melvin Gordon's not injured. He's just not playing. But he's just a beast. And I was worried that Justin Jackson was going to come in and take some work away from him. But he's just not taking enough. And it's so beautiful. It's such a beautiful
thing. See, Justin Jackson was... He got just as much work. Eckler was just so much more efficient.
So much more efficient. And he didn't even get the ball. You would think he got the ball like a ton. He didn't even get the ball that much. You know, like he was just so electric with the ball. And I had him ranked pretty high last week coming into the season. Coming into the week. I have him top 10 coming into this week as well. And yeah, he's going to remain a top 10 back as long as Melvin Gordon sits out.
Guys, we wish this was a YouTube video because you could see Hoos just rubbing his nipples talking about Austin Eckler.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah. I'm rubbing other stuff too. We're not showing that portion of it.
Oh, all right. It's not exactly family friendly, but
hey,
hint,
wink,
wink.
You don't know.
Yeah, I think we do know. Moving to the Lions side, you got me all messed up. Lions side of the ball. Matthew Stafford, Kerryon Johnson, Marvin Jones, Danny Amendola had a great game. TJ Hawkinson, who had a great debut, and Kenny Golladay. Mike, which one of these wide receivers or receiving options are you most likely to play this week?
I mean, if any of them, I'm probably going to play Hawkinson. I like him a lot. I think he will get utilized. I kind of slept on this guy just because I don't really like Detroit very much. But I really feel like, I mean, him, Marvin Jones, I think any of these passing options, I think this is going to be a pass-heavy team this year.
So suppose you had, let's say Marvin Jones and Hawkinson on the same team, and you wanted to pick one to flex. Who are you going with?
I'm going to go with Hawkinson.
Same over Amendola and Galladay still?
Yeah.
What about you, Hoos?
Yeah, I'm going to go Hawkinson. This offense just seems to be tailored to that short area. Danny Amendola and Hawkinson seem to be getting all that work there, and Galladay and Marvin Jones just isn't. This is a different coordinator. So it looks different. We can't just project, which is what we like to do as analysts. We like to project the fantasy player, and we have to remember we have to project the outlook depending on the coaching situation, and that's very, very, very real. And that's why we're seeing this. I mean, Danny Amendola, who saw this guy getting what? He got like 17 targets last week or something. Who saw that?
I just want to say that whoever was who was that returning that punt, McLeod,
God.
just got rocked.
Yeah.
He dropped the ball.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm leaning, if it's a PPR league, I lean towards Danny Amendola because I think Matthew Stafford has been missing that Golden Tate type player, and Amendola certainly can fill that role, and he did that week 1. So I think in a PPR, Amendola is going to be my favorite one. It's going to be hard to play him over the other 3, but I think I'm willing to take that chance.
Well, you gave us the option of Hawkinson and Marvin Jones. You didn't say Amendola.
Yeah, I know. I said Hawkinson versus any of them.
Yeah,
and I would play Amendola over Hawkinson.
I would as well.
Yeah. Moving on, Indianapolis Colts at the Tennessee Titans. So we talked about Marlon Mack already, beasting with 174 yards on the ground last week. Looked awesome. That Colts offensive line just absolutely dominated the Chargers. And the running game, East-West, didn't work very well, but between the tackles, the offensive line just got so much push. Marlon Mack looked so explosive. T.Y. Hilton looked awesome. 9 catches, 87 yards, I think, in the 80s. 2 touchdowns from Jacoby Brissett. Eric Ebron, Jack Doyle, I'm going to mention those 2 guys because Devin Funchess is now out for a season with, I believe, a broken collarbone. So the tight ends become very interesting because now Devin Funchess, who was basically a tight end, is gone. Eric Ebron caught a touchdown and then kind of juggled it a little bit and then was out of bounds. Ebron or Doyle, Hoos?
I'd say Doyle based off of what we know from Brissett. Yeah.
I like it. 81 catches 2 years ago with Brissett.
Yeah, I'm on the same.
Yeah.
Yep, like each other.
Very
they
high.
had a really good.
I think he led tight ends that year, I believe.
He did.
In receptions.
Yeah. He was amazing. Now, Eric Ebron wasn't there. It was Eric Swope. But you know what? It doesn't really matter. He does have that connection with Jacoby Brissett. He did let one ball. There was one that was thrown to him. It went right in between us. It didn't even look like it touched his hands. It went right between him and bounced off his helmet and then out of bounds.
Yeah, that was pretty brutal.
He was like 5 yards in front of Brissett, who has an absolute cannon, and he just unloaded into Jack Doyle's face.
I will say Deion Kane is one that could stand to benefit. And Paris Campbell as well. Naeem Hines could also be used in, like a DFS or like a deep league.
So is Marlon Mack an automatic start now?
Oh yeah, I mean the
People
guy. He's. I thought he looked better with the transition from Luck to Jacoby Brissett, just because I didn't think that they were going to be throwing the ball as much with Brissett versus Luck. But I didn't think he was going to get this much work. He is a true workhorse. Just in terms of carries alone, he doesn't need targets. Like he just doesn't need it. He's looks like he's going to be a top 12 running back easily, just off of the carries alone. If you can try to go get him right now, I'd overpay just to make sure you can get him, because I think it's going to be very, very, very hard to get him and in the coming weeks if it's not already too hard to get him now.
Let's move to the Titans side of the ball. So the fantasy guys that I'm interested in, of course, Derrick Henry, who had a great game. Even if you take away that one reception for a 75-yard touchdown where there was nobody in front of him, he still had a really good game for as a running back. Still was pretty great. Delaney Walker, monster game for him as well. But Mike, I want to ask you, get your opinion on this guy, because we saw Austin Eckler just basically absolutely torch the Colts in the passing game. How do you feel about Dion Lewis this week?
I actually have been keeping my eye on the Dion Lewis situation, and the more I see Derrick Henry, the more I feel like we're going to start seeing a little bit more Dion Lewis. I mean, he gets involved at the right times. They just haven't been managing production. So I actually feel like he's a pretty good play this week.
What
about you? Are you on the Dion Lewis maybe flexing this week train?
I don't think so. I think I feel like they're going to try to use Derrick Henry as much as possible. They really want to run him into the ground, I think. So I wouldn't be surprised if they just continue to use Lewis. He did see 2 targets. He had that one reception for 75 yards. So don't be surprised if they use him more. Kind of like how we saw Chris Carson just start getting more targets out of nowhere. They might just start to phase out Dion Lewis. So I don't know. I want to see it more. That 1 yard, 75-yard scamper for a touchdown definitely could change some minds.
This was the first year I was actually high on Derrick Henry. I was taking him in the into the third, early fourth, and I'm glad it turned out to be right for at least the first week.
Yeah, he had great value. For me, when it comes to drafting, and Chris, you know this, like when you ask me, well, who do you like more? And it always comes down to value. There was a year where, years where I would say I hate Carlos Hyde. He sucks. And then there was the year when he was on the 49ers and he was in that 4th, 5th round value. And I said, I love Carlos Hyde because he was in that 4th, 5th yard value and he was the starting back. So it's the same thing. When you get to that value stage, you just hope that these guys pop. And when they do at that value, it's just money because they're turning in 2nd round value for you in a 4th or 5th round, and you probably load it up on other positions. So you're probably going to win your league if you got Derrick Henry and he's able to keep this up in a 4th or 5th round.
Let's move on here. We still have a ton of stuff that we need to get to, and this is not the mail sack. San Francisco 49ers travel to Ohio to take on the Cincinnati Bengals. Really the only 2 guys I'm interested in for the Bengals, or for the 49ers, we'll start with the visitors, Matt Breida and George Kittle. Who's, if you had to, well, I guess if you're starting George Kittle, it's not flexing him. Matt Breida, is he an automatic start for you?
He is.
Mike, what about you?
Same here. Yeah, this week he is. He's an automatic.
You got him ranked in the top 24?
I do. Top 12, actually.
Really?
Yeah, he's in the 11
right,
for me.
Defend that.
I see the volume. It's just a volume play more than anything, and I think he's a guy that can do a lot with the volume, and I think he'll get a touchdown.
See, I
can see that happening.
But Mostert, I do think that Mostert will be worked in, and I wouldn't even be surprised if they also bring in,
Jeffrey Wilson.
Yeah, Jeffrey Wilson.
I think I outbid you in our Dynasty League to pick up Wilson, didn't I?
I think you did. You have to. Yeah, kudos for that.
I think I bid 4 and you bid 2 or 3.
It was not good I didn't think anyone was on him, to be honest. But
let's move to the Bengals, who have slightly more fantasy relevance. So Andy Dalton might be a decent streaming option this week. Joe Mixon, if he plays, obviously you're starting him. If he doesn't, Giovanni Bernard is top 15, right? Because, he always is whenever he has the starting role.
Top 12.
Top 12, yeah, I can see it. Pick one, Tyler Boyd or John Ross, Mike?
I think I like Tyler Boyd this week.
Who's?
Ross.
Really? You wouldn't have said that last year, though.
No, of course not. He's
what
just
changed?
Different...
Just week 1, or?
It's okay. Look, it's not just week 1. It's a new coordinator, and we're seeing a new coordinator's plans, play out. Like when there's a new coordinator, that's very, very important to me. I want to see how that plays out. And the way John Ross was targeted, he seems like, and barring injury, he seems like he's going to be a top 20 wide receiver, even if AJ comes back and Boyd is there. I think, dude, Andy Dalton threw the ball 51 times, just second behind Kyler Murray. If this is what Zach Taylor's offense is, he's going to throw for his career year passing yards. What he threw 385 yards or something. He didn't have a great game by any means, but he still, for fantasy purposes, he looked good.
The guys in my Scott Fishbowl chat, like Twitter chat, gave me a bunch of shit for drafting John Ross. And I mean, I got him in like the 13th round or something like that.
How can you get shit for that?
I've had such bad luck on that team. Lamar Miller going down, Adrian Peterson being a healthy scratch, Tyreek Hill going down, Antonio Brown. It could be really good luck if he plays all year with the Patriots. But, could be bad. Just not great down there. Anyways, enough about my team, though. I just wanted to brag that I got John Ross so late. Jacksonville Jaguars at Houston Texans. Gardner Minshew had, an 88% completion rate in his debut after he took over for Nick Foles. Leonard Fournette was getting some solid work, especially after Minshew came in. D.D. Westbrook, it seemed like he was getting more targeted by Nick Foles than he was by Minshew.
Definitely.
Minshew seemed to favor DJ Shark. So of those two, Mike, who would you rather have?
I think I'd rather have I think I like Chark. I mean, he had a good connection. He seemed to fit into that team really well. And, I mean, he was catching touchdowns. So I would take Chark.
Are you on the Chark train? Conley.
Yeah, Conley was targeted.
Who's that student who writes in his own answer at the end of a multiple choice question?
I mean, hey, when the math is correct, he targeted him 20% once he came in, and I like 20% a lot.
Moving to Houston side of the ball, Deshaun Watson. I think you got to start him every week. Carlos Hyde or Duke Johnson, Hoos?
Hyde.
Give me Hyde as well. What about you, Mike?
Hyde for me, too.
DeAndre Hopkins looked like a beast. Will Fuller he had a really big catch. He had an okay game. Kenny Stills out there doing Kenny Stills things. He either catches a long touchdown or he doesn't. Fuller or Stills, Mike?
For me, it's Fuller. I really like Fuller a lot. I just can't sit the guy, and he always seems to pay off. So Fuller all the way.
What about you, Hoos?
My heart wants to say Stills because I've always loved Kenny Stills.
I know.
But I'm going to say Will Fuller, even though we did say don't sit him. He looked great for a couple plays, and then after that, it was just Hopkins, Joe, and Kamara.
It is just hard to sit Will Fuller because of his potential any given week.
He's
kind of like he's like a young Deshaun Jackson.
Right. Only Deshaun Jackson has actually been like a wide receiver one for multiple years. So
right.
That's probably that's generous. I mean, we want him to be a Deshaun Jackson.
I mean, Fuller, he could be a wide receiver one if he can play all 16.
Yeah, or do we know, and this is interesting to see, we're going to see it, if he does play a full 16, does Watson support a wide receiver one two wide receiver ones or two if, I don't know, when Hopkins gets so much volume?
I don't think he can't.
I don't think he can either. I don't think he can either. I just think he has really. I don't think that he can't. I just think that he has really good wide receiver options between QT, Stills, and Fuller.
Yeah.
I don't know if he. I don't know. He might Drew Brees that situation.
Mike, did you have something to throw in there real quick?
I didn't know. I agree with the Drew Brees scenario, though. That's a good analogy because that could easily happen to this team.
Let's move to a division game. Minnesota Vikings at Green Bay Packers. potentially a lot of fantasy firepower in this game. Kirk Cousins, who threw the ball a whopping 10 times last week. Dalvin Cook, who looked like the most explosive player in the NFL. Adam Thielen, who caught a touchdown. Stephon Diggs, who was disappointing, but that was not his fault. It was Cousins' fault for throwing it 10 times. On the Packers side of the ball, Aaron Rodgers, of course, Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams, who was pretty disappointing, and Jimmy Graham, who caught a touchdown. And I don't want to mention Kyle Rudolph, who put a big old goose egg up there. Do you guys have Dalvin Cook top 5 this week?
I do, yeah. I think Dalvin Cook's the real deal, too. I love seeing him out there, and he just rips it to shreds when he is.
Yep, I had him number 2 just behind McCaffrey last week, and he's number 2 this week as well.
Behind McCaffrey again?
Behind McCaffrey again.
All right. Let's see. Thielen or Diggs, if you had to pick one?
Thielen. Thielen snapped last.
I think this week for me.
Sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Diggs for me this week.
They both absolutely snapped against Atlanta last year, but I don't know. The defense looked better, or I don't know. It's week 1. I mean, it's week 2 now. So if they are able to do what they've been doing in the previous years against this team, they both should have really good games, and even Kyle Rudolph.
Is Jimmy Graham a guy you're interested in starting?
Absolutely. Love Jimmy Graham. He's a top 7 tight end for me on the year, and I love him this year. He's already halfway to his touchdown mark of last year. He had 2 touchdowns last year. He already has 1.
I believe he's on waivers in one of my leagues. Would you drop Hunter Henry for him?
Sorry, I was responding to a play.
Would you drop Hunter Henry to pick him up?
I would.
I believe I would, yeah.
All right. Let's move on to Cowboys at Redskins, another division game here. We've got a bunch of division games in a row. Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, Jason Witten, Blake Jarwin all had really good games for the Cowboys last week. Dak had maybe a career week with 4 total touchdowns. Aside from Zeke, Mike, who is the player in this offense you're most interested in watching this week?
Amari Cooper. I really liked how he connected again. I want to see this be consistent. You know, Amari Cooper is a guy that always gives you that. I'll give you a week, and then I'm going to take 6 weeks off. And then I'm going to give you another really good week, and you're going to remember me. And then I'm going to give you 6 weeks off. So hopefully I just see some consistency there. I want to see a lot of targets going.
And he's been fairly consistent with Dak.
He has, yeah. But
he's been up and down with Dak.
He's been more consistent with Dak.
Right.
Let me put it that way.
Yeah. Instead of 6 stinkers, he gives you 3.
Now, those guys are exciting. Michael Gallup exciting as well. I'm hoping this is one of the games on. I believe this is in one of the afternoon games, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think this is one of the 1:00 games. It might be though. Let's see. It probably is. The guy I'm most excited about watching is the guy I had in this week's great debate. And it's on the Redskins side of the ball, Terry McLaurin. If you want to know my thoughts about that, go back and listen to this week's great debate. I did it with man behind the curtain, producer Rob, who is behind the curtain again today. A lot of thoughts on Terry McLaurin in there. I am very pro McLaurin. Every league he was available in, I put in waivers. What about you guys?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I got him everywhere.
Big fan. AP or Chris Thompson this week, Hoos?
Oh, come on. You can't ask me that.
So you don't have an answer?
No, you know my answer. Come on.
Oh, yeah. Chris Thompson. Yeah, what about you, Mike?
Absolutely.
AP for me. He's getting the starting spot. I like it.
I'm taking AP as well.
You didn't ask me who I was the most excited about.
Yeah, I know the answer is Chris Thompson.
It's not. I
Am I right?
It's not. I promise. It's Michael Gallup.
Yeah, I was going to guess that. Michael Gallup. All right,
Michael
1
Gallup,
minute, go.
He caught all 7 of his targets for 158 yards. That is insane.
Dude looked good.
I thought he can have a better year than Amari Cooper. I said it on week 1. I was half kidding, but I was also half serious. And he can, I think, I think he can be more consistent than Amari Cooper, even if Amari Cooper does have a better year.
Yeah, kind of like the Stephon Diggs of the system.
Yep.
I get what you're saying. Yep.
I like it. Let's move on. Seattle Seahawks at Pittsburgh Steelers. On the Seahawks side of the ball, Russell Wilson, Chris Carson, Tyler Lockett, and DK Metcalf. Pittsburgh side of the ball, of course, you have Roethlisberger, James Conner, Juju, Dante Moncrief, who led the Steelers in targets and drops, and Vance McDonald, who laid a big old turd on your fantasy team after getting a lot of hype. Starting with the Seahawks, Mike, Tyler Lockett, is he someone that you want to keep playing each week, or is it more of a wait and see?
I'm on a wait and see mode with him. I think the thing that I saw with DK Metcalf is enough for me to go, wait a minute here, and kind of want to see what's going on there.
What about you, Hoos? I know you're a big Lockett guy.
Yeah, I think you still got to roll him out there just based off of I don't want to say based off what you have because I don't know what you had, but you drafted him pretty high. Unless you got like a DJ Moore later, who you would have already played in this game, or like a little bit more this week.
Didn't Lockett he didn't have a target until like nearly the end of the third quarter, right?
Yeah, it was weird. I'm not too worried about it. I try to buy him if I can for cheap because I do think he's still going to be the target leader there.
Let's move to the Steelers side of the ball. Mike, bounce back for Connor and Juju this week?
I really think we do see a bounce back. I think those guys are good enough. I think New England just had their number right out the gate.
Yeah, they usually game plan away your best weapon, and they game planned away two, Connor and Juju, last week. So,
and one of their best weapons at Moncrief.
I mean, they shut down the whole offense.
Yeah.
That offense.
We don't know what that team looks like right now because
Belichick called Moncrief and was like, "Hey, get an attitude, start dropping passes, and we'll sign you."
Hey, I mean, you know what the scary thing is about? I don't want to say scary because it's not like you drafted him high, but Deontay Johnson, they targeted him 5 times towards the, not very early on, but he looked pretty decent. So they might move on from him and move on to Deontay Johnson or either James Washington. So interesting names.
But he's more of a watch list guy right now, right?
Yeah, 100%. I just wanted to say, you're not starting him, but if you can pick him up and just kind of grab him, he could be a waiver guy next week. So if you want to just pick him up early this week, say you missed out on a bunch of guys on waivers, and you're like, I'll pick up this guy. He's one of my, I'll pick up this guy.
In that category.
Yeah. Yep. All right, let's pick up the pace here a little bit. We still have 7 matchups to get through. Buffalo Bills at New York Giants. Josh Allen, who put together a pretty decent fantasy day. Didn't look the best. Put together a good fantasy day, though. John Brown, who was my second biggest target. Actually, he was probably my first biggest target after McLaurin in the leagues where Brown was available. I drafted him damn near everywhere because I was a believer in him. Moving to the Giants side of the ball, obviously Saquon Barkley. Evan Ingram, who looked really good. Sterling Shepard, is he someone that you're starting, Mike?
I feel like, we still got the wide receiver one as Sterling Shepard out there, so I feel like I have to start this guy. I mean, I'm flexing him at best, maybe. I'm hoping I have 2 better options. But if I don't, I guess I'm still satisfied putting him out there.
Hoos, is there anyone on the Giants roster you're playing besides Barkley and Ingram?
Cody Latimer. I play Cody Latimer. He had 8 targets, 74 receiving yards. Now that was with Sterling Shepard concussed, but Latimer he could be the number 1 option, especially if Shepard still remains in the concussion protocol, which it seems like at this point he still is. So it's early on, but at this point where you're listening this to a Friday, on a Thursday he was already. He was still in the protocol.
Josh Allen or Derek Carr this week? Carr's got the Chiefs. Andy's
Allen.
Josh Allen for me.
All right. New England Patriots travel to Miami to destroy the Dolphins.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how else you could say it.
I think it's going to be I think Sony Michel's going to get 2 early touchdowns, and then we're going to see Rex Burkhead later.
I think I could see that. Like, I think we're going to see a heavy dosage of Rex Burkhead. I think it's just going to be a pummeling fast. Like, that Miami team looks dreadful.
That might be nice for Bill Belichick to do. He might be nice and do that from his former colleague. But
yeah,
it
wasn't
is
it just like it was like 4 years ago where the Patriots were up like 50-0 at halftime and were still throwing Hail Marys.
Yeah, and they hate the Dolphins, and to believe it or not, the Dolphins have their number.
In the division, they play them the best.
Yeah, it's weird, but the Dolphins, like, they beat them when they're in town. Like, when the Patriots come to town, I think they have like a better record against them or something, if I'm not mistaken. It's weird, but they have, like, you know, and that's probably partially because the Patriots come there and they say, we're playing the Dolphins, we don't care. So yeah, it should be an
I didn't even put any Dolphins in this because I don't think we're playing any of them, are we?
Preston in a deep league. Drake
Preston?
possibly.
Yeah. Drake. Yeah, Drake is.
Preston Williams in a deep league. He caught that nice touchdown in the back of the end zone.
I think I still like Devontae Parker of the receiving options there.
Depends who's starting.
Yeah, that's a pain. I've got a super flex league where Josh Rosen. I have Ryan Fitzpatrick as my third quarterback. Josh Rosen is on waivers, and I'm not sure if I want to drop Fitzpatrick for Rosen because you never know who's going to be the starter. But I don't want to carry
Fitzpatrick right now.
Right. Well, I also don't want to carry 2 Miami quarterbacks on my bench.
I'm doing that in the Scott Fish and in the Pro-Am. But in the Pro-Am, at least it's a best ball. So if Rosen has more points, then at least I'm getting Rosen's points. Or if Ryan Fitzpatrick has more points, I'm getting Ryan Fitzpatrick points. So it's pretty sweet, actually.
I guess that's true.
Best ball's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, I actually have never done one, but it seems like an interesting concept. Josh Gordon, Julian Edelman this week. Who do you think gets more points?
I'm going to go Edelman, even though I think I have Gordon ranked higher.
I think Gordon.
So that's backwards.
Yeah, I might have to adjust that.
Time to adjust that.
If I think that if AB is there, he hurts Gordon. Yeah, and I think he's going to play, so I might have to adjust that. I think I have Gordon.
Moving on. Kansas City Chiefs at Oakland Raiders. Pat Mahomes had an sprained ankle, but he should be good to go. Damian Williams and LaShawn McCoy at running back. And McCoy, Williams might have had more fantasy points, but LaShawn McCoy looks like the much better player. Sammy Watkins went 9 for 198 and 3, just balling. Travis Kelce looked great. Poos, I know I outbid you for DeMarcus Robinson, also in the Dynasty League.
Good.
I knew you were going for him. I was like, oh man, I got to pay up. Who is the wide receiver pickup with Tyreek out? Is it DeMarcus Robinson?
You know it, man. I mean, look, if you guys listen to the show early in the offseason, I was talking DeMarcus Robinson. He looked good with Patrick Mahomes towards the end of last season, and with no Conley, with no Chris Conley. Chris Conley caught like 4 touchdowns last year. Not a ton, but that's still 4 touchdowns. He was, taking up for that and the Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill's 17 touchdowns or whatever it was, 14 or whatever it was. That's now gone for a few weeks, if not longer. So, yeah, I think DeMarcus Robinson, he's the cheaper option, and he's the most familiar option, even though McCole Hardman did pass him on the depth charts. I don't know. I think Robinson could be a sneaky name that we're talking about next week. Again, we're talking about guys that you're picking up on waivers next week. If you grab them this week, you might be ahead of the curve.
So I'm looking at it right now. I bid $12 on him. George bid $7. T Greenhut bid $5. You bid $0 on him, but you did put in a bid.
I didn't think I would have to spend money on him for some reason. I don't know why.
Before you guys go thinking, how did he spend $12 on DeMarcus Robinson? It's a $300 fab league.
Yeah.
So it's only 4%.
Yeah, that was
So
my
that's not bad
bad.
at all.
That was my bad for not spinning.
No, that was your good, man. I appreciated it. Thank you. Mike, would you say DeMarcus Robinson too?
Yeah, actually, no. I'm a McCole Hardman truther. I think he's the guy that fills in when Tyreek Hill goes in there. So, for me, it was McCole Hardman that benefits most out of this ordeal. We'll see this weekend, but I really feel like he's going to be the featured guy out there.
Another freaking punt in this stupid game.
Garbage.
Thursday night football sucks. Man.
Yeah, it's Thursday night
horrible.
Is what we thought it was. Garbage.
Derek Carr, Josh Jacobs, Tyrell Williams, and Darren Waller for the Raiders. I think all of these guys are startable this week, including Carr. I mean, he could very easily finish as a top 10 quarterback on the week playing against the Chiefs. Probably going to have to throw. Josh Jacobs looked amazing. Tyrell Williams looked like a team's number one wide receiver, caught a touchdown, looked pretty great out there. Darren Waller, 100% of snaps. 9 for 77? Is that what he went for? I need to vet that.
Yeah, I think it was. I feel like that's close enough anyways, if it's not, like, exact. He did great. And just think about Jared Cook. I mean, he'd have those 9 for 77s, but then he'd have those 9 for 77s and 2 touchdowns, too. So, definitely like some Waller.
I was able to get him in my listener league, which is pretty cool. No, sorry, I was way off. 7 for 70.
7. I knew the yardage was close, anyways.
Yeah, it was not 9-7. Still, 14 points in a PPR. That's pretty great.
Yeah.
All right, New Orleans Saints at Los Angeles Rams. Ton of fantasy relevance in this one. Rams guys, Breeze, Kamara, Latavius, Michael Thomas, Ted Ginn, Jared Cook, who kind of disappointed last week given that people were drafting him as the number 4 overall tight end off the board. On the Rams side of the ball, Goff, Gurley, Malcolm Brown. Please do not start Malcolm Brown. I'll talk about that again. But Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, Brandon Cooks, Tyler Higbee even, if you want to sleeper tight end, 4 for 20 and a touchdown. He looks like he was getting involved. Were you talking about start Higbee?
Yeah.
Or start Malcolm Brown?
I'd start Malcolm Brown. I'd flex him. I wouldn't start him as RB, my running back position. But if I'm in a deep flex league, I think I could start him. I'd feel comfortable starting him.
I want to say I had Latavius Murray ranked as an RB2 going into the season, and he got a touchdown. I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, you like it. You love that. I mean, these guys are in these high octane offenses. When you take a stab at these guys that are supposed to get the whatever carries, it's good because they're in a high octane offense. So Malcolm Brown fits that for me. So I'd feel comfortable flexing him.
See, I think it was just a fluke game. I mean, you can't bank on 2 touchdowns or even 1 touchdown from Malcolm Brown. It was just that might have been Gurley's series to rest, and Brown happened to get in the end zone both times.
And you know what? I do lean on your thinking more than the rest of the community where a lot of people are saying, oh, this is a timeshare completely. I don't think it's a complete timeshare. Yeah, I think he's just resting. He only got 14 carries, but it was just 90 yards. So that's pretty impressive.
Oh, sorry, I thought Mike was going to jump in.
Yeah, we always think Mike was going to jump in. Mike?
Yeah, I didn't have anything else to add. I was there with you. I was like,
good
point.
We didn't want you to talk anyway. Let's move on. Chicago Bears at Denver Broncos for what could be another Chicago snoozer. David Montgomery, let's hope, fingers crossed, that Nagy learned how to use Montgomery. It clearly looked better than Mike Davis in last Thursday's opener. But hey, yeah. Am I starting him?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so.
No, I don't. I want to see it.
Of the 3 running backs, yeah, I want to see it first, too. Of the 3, I would start Tariq Cohen.
I'd start Tariq Cohen. I start Chris Thompson.
He's
Malcolm
not on
Brown.
the Bears, so. Are you talking about over Montgomery?
Yeah, I'm just talking about over Montgomery just because.
You'd start Malcolm Brown over David Montgomery?
I would, just because I don't trust his usage this early into the season. I mean, I want to see it first. I just want to see it first. I don't feel comfortable starting him week 2. I mean, it's no reason to start him week 2. It's just hopeful until he has a game where it's like, okay, cool. We can. He needs to have at least like a Singletary game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They finally aired it out to Mike Evans.
Yeah, that was a great throw and a great catch.
That was beautiful. We needed that.
Mike,
oh my
is
God.
Anthony Miller droppable?
I think so. Yeah, I don't really trust too much off this Bears offense this year. You just don't have a team that has to do anything on offense. Their defense is so damn good that they can just sit back and wait you out. You know, they can beat you with field goals, the whole death by 1,000 cuts thing. So, yeah, I feel like, I'm dropping a lot of the Bears offense. There's no octane on it for me.
Let's say you need to pick up a wide receiver. Are you picking up Taylor Gabriel or Anthony Miller if you had to choose one?
I'd rather hold on to Anthony Miller than Taylor Gabriel. I just don't think Taylor Gabriel is going to do much for you other than give you a few points. And I think Anthony Miller still will have a role where, even though he didn't give you much points, and I said the same thing about Geronimo Allison, even though, hey, I understand if you guys want to drop them and you don't want to hold on, I get it. You know, there's sexier names on the waiver wire, a lot of them. So, you know, but again, it's week 1. You're going to be dropping these same sexy names next week thinking, oh, they didn't do anything. So, boom bust. A lot of these waiver guys are boom bust. So.
Guys, how good did Emmanuel Sanders look last week?
He looked like Emmanuel Sanders.
Yeah, he looked awesome.
Yep.
Like he was
looked real good. Let's move on to what should be the last game of the week, but unfortunately is not because we have a real bad one to end the week. Philadelphia Eagles at Atlanta Falcons on Sunday Night Football should be a really good one. Man, Wentz, great week last week, 3 touchdowns. With all those weapons, he should throw at least 3 every single week. We saw a pretty even split between Sanders, Jordan Howard, and Darren Sproles, and Sproles got much more work on the ground between the tackles than I expected him to. I think more than anyone expected him to. And Deshaun Jackson, man, first came back with the Eagles. What a beast. Is he someone that you need to stay in the flames with? Do you have to roll Deshaun Jackson out there this week?
I think you have to. I mean, he looks so good in this offense. He's at least a flex for you. Yeah, rolling him out.
Yeah,
Mike,
absolutely.
what about you?
You have to, dude. He's the touchdown factor. He's like Lamar Jackson. You just have to.
He is the guy I was telling everybody, 10th, 11th round, you need to grab him.
And you know what? I don't have any Deshaun Jackson. That makes me so sad. I have so much
13
Alshon.
leagues, and I probably have 8 or 9.
I have so much Alshon, which I'm very, very, very happy about.
Yeah.
You know, but Deshaun Jackson was just a cheaper option. I wouldn't mind flexing both of these guys. You know, he saw 52% of the snaps, and that's just not something I was expecting. I you know, a lot of people were talking about Goddard, a lot of people talking about all these other pieces. He just easily became the number 2 option. Yep. If it's not Ertz, which looks a little scary, it may not be Ertz. I think Ertz bounced back, but I don't know. Jackson could be fighting for that number 2 option.
I think he does too. I think the Eagles are, with the receiving options there, if we look at the 3 big ones, Alshon Jeffrey, Deshaun Jackson, Zach Ertz, you can play 2 of those 3 guys any given week, and you're going to feel comfortable.
And Chris Godwin with the touchdown. Beautiful. 20-yard touchdown.
Oh, I think your stream must be just a little bit ahead of mine.
Yeah. Chris Godwin with the beautiful 20-yard touchdown. And we needed that. And while we're talking about that, I think it's if you're mic'd up, and if we don't mind, I'd love to get Rob's take on this team because this is his team. Rob, can you talk a little bit about this Philadelphia team?
Well, It's really my second team, so my first love is the Ravens. But the Eagles look pretty strong in the second half. That first half was atrocious offensively. I don't know where Carson Wentz was really going there, but Deshaun Jackson looked great, and I think Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert, that tight end group is fantastic. You'll see Zach Ertz bounce back. He definitely had some down weeks last year, but I don't think that's the trend that we should expect.
Let's move to the Falcons side of the ball. Matt Ryan, Devonta Freeman, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, who did salvage his day with a touchdown. Mohamed Sanu kept getting in the mix. Austin Hooper, 9 for 77. Mike, was that just a product of garbage time? Because, I mean, he did finish as the number 7 tight end last year.
Yeah, no, I feel like I've been really high on Austin Hooper all off season. I really like him. I actually have him finishing as the number 3 tight end on the season. So this does not surprise me. This is the kind of start I was thinking about.
Yeah, absolutely love Austin Hooper. He was on the field pretty much the whole game. He was on the field for 62% of the snaps. The only guy that was much higher was Ryan Griffin on the Jets, who didn't really do much. He was just blocking. But Austin Hooper, he is...
Well, and Darren Waller.
Oh, yeah, he was
higher.
pretty high. Yeah, 58%, yeah. But, yeah, that's Austin Hooper. I love Austin Hooper. I think he's going to have another good week. Have penciled in to be the number 6 tight end for the year. He's proven it so far.
So I'm in an IDP league with other mods and analysts from the Sleeper app, and I have Eric Ebron, Austin Hooper, and Mark Andrews. Pretty deep league. And Mark Andrews. Who would you play at tight end between Ebron, Hooper, and Andrews?
Hooper.
I think my rankings has it Andrews and Hooper.
See, I have Andrews in right now. I'm kind of feeling Julio Jones on primetime is going to dominate.
Yeah, he should.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like Cooper's going to be that guy that gets week in, week out production this year.
All right, well, let's go ahead and wrap up here. Monday Night Football. It's too bad we're ending on what had potential to be a pretty great game. But Browns at Jets, I don't know why I'm not excited for this one at all. Browns, everybody was real excited about. They looked like absolute shit the first week for the most part. We got excited? Baker Mayfield. What's that?
Who was excited?
Yeah, everybody. Everybody's excited for the Browns this year. Are you kidding me? Everybody's excited for the Browns. Except for you.
I had to just play along. I really had to play along because I didn't want to sound like the hater, even though I still sounded like the hater. But I just had to play along with the Browns. And you know what? I'm so mad because even though it's very early, like everyone kind of tainted my rankings to place Odell a little higher, Baker a little higher. And I was just like, I don't want to place these guys higher. I just didn't feel good about them. And I just believe in what I believe. Second-year quarterbacks usually don't play that great. Dak, it happened to Dak. Dak, I mean, his second year wasn't that great. I think he was, quarterback 13? I just don't.
No, Dak's finished as a quarterback 1 every year of his career.
Okay, so he was, quarterback 2 that...
he might have been 12.
Sorry, 12. Yeah, he was 12 that down year. So, hey, I think Baker could be 12, just not 2, where a lot of people were drafting him. People were picking him over Aaron Rodgers. It was insane. So I was not one for the hype, and it wasn't because I'm a hater or anything. I just like to see it, and same thing with Odell. You go into a new team. I like to see it. It doesn't happen. You don't go to a new team unless you're Randy Moss, and he's not Tom Brady. I'm not being a hater. I just want to see it.
Odell still had a great game. 11 targets, 7 for 71.
7 for 71 is okay. That's not a great game, dude.
That's 14.1 points in a fantasy or in a PPR. That's pretty good, man.
That's not a John Ross game. He's Baker. We were talking about Baker Mayfield and Odell Beckham. He's supposed to have a John Ross game. He's not supposed to have that's an Allen Robinson game, not an Odell Beckham game.
Okay, but let's not pretend that Odell shit the bed. I mean, 7 for 71 on 11 targets is still pretty good.
For
no way.
That people are thinking
way.
The wide receiver 2 or 3, that's crapping the bed. Sorry.
Yeah, on the season, not on the week.
Yeah.
Yeah, different. That's a pretty solid way to start the season.
Hogan.
But let's move on. Enough. We could argue about this all day. Moving to the Jets side of the ball, Sam Darnold is out for Monday's game. Trevor Siemian is the backup. As soon as I saw Sam Darnold being out, I was like, oh shit, Robbie Anderson's going to be awesome with Josh McCown. And then I was like, ah, oh, damn it, it's going to be Siemian.
I think he could still be okay, though.
See, I think it's got to be, with Siemian in there, I think it's going to be Jamison Crowder. As much as I love Robbie Anderson, and he's probably my most owned player, I don't think you can play him this week.
I think Robbie Anderson gets targeted more than Crowder, even though I think he should be the safer guy. It makes sense. What you're saying makes sense, but my first reactions were different. I actually had Crowder in my Scott Fishbowl lineups, and now I'm taking him out, but I don't know. You're saying I should leave him in. I just feel like Robbie Anderson, I don't know. Maybe I need to watch more film on Trevor Siemian.
Yeah, I would be starting Cleveland's defense from what I remember.
Mike is the perfect person to talk to about this.
Yeah, no, Cleveland defense, that's a spot start this week. I think that guy's a turnover monster. I hate Trevor Siemian. I really do.
What is his strength? You got to give him one strength. Who is he going to pass it to? What is he like the most? The tight end? Is he could pass that short area? You going to pass it to Crowder?
What does he like? He likes to throw it to the ground a lot. The ground. I would start the ground and the Cleveland Browns defense.
No, seriously. So you're saying he's gonna throw to the running back.
No, it's going to be wide receivers because Emmanuel Sanders was still serviceable when Siemian was the quarterback.
Serviceable is a kind word for it, but yeah, I mean, he just
of all positions.
Of all positions, I think he was probably the best. But
yeah. So it doesn't bode well. I don't know if you can really play.
We're taking away the
play a Jets wide receiver.
Yeah, we're taking the hate and disdain. We're trying to find the slither of information that you've watched the most. You've definitely watched Trevor Siemian more than we have, and we're asking you to take away the stink. And what you watched, who did he target the most? Wide receivers, running backs, or tight ends?
I'd say wide receivers.
Okay, there we
go. So if Bell is out, is Ty Montgomery someone that you definitely want to put in your lineup? Or does Darnold being out mean Ty Montgomery is just someone who stays out?
I think Bell's fine. They did their precautionary thing. I don't think it's something to even worry about.
All right. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for the games. I know that went a little bit long, but hey, bye weeks aren't here yet. We've got 16 games to get through. Last thing I want to do, each one of us has picked a streaming actually 2 streaming quarterbacks for this year, guys who, might be on your waivers. You can go grab and put in for a spot start. So if you had Jameis Winston and you dropped him because he was horrible, and once again has been horrible at the beginning of this game. I mean, he did throw a touchdown, but both offenses have looked horrific. I'm going to kick it off here. And my 2, Jacoby Brissett, who had a great game against the Chargers. I know the Titans have a good defense, but the Colts play the Titans really, really well. I think Brissett is a good start. And I think Kirk Cousins, I know he only threw it 10 times last week, but that's not going to happen again. I mean, 10 times, that's as unrepeatable as throwing 7 touchdowns is. So I think Kirk Cousins against the Packers could also be a great spot start. Hoos, what about you?
I've got Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton, who threw the ball 51 times last week, what you heard me say earlier in the show. I think that, if he's playing, he is playing the San Francisco 49ers. If they are as good as they were last week, like if their defense is the real deal, he's going to have to throw the ball that much. And if they're not, and they're garbage like they were last year, he's still going to throw the ball a ton, and he's going to have a great game. He completed the ball 35 times, 418 yards. He had 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. I think he's going to be pretty good. And I think also another guy that you can throw in your lineups, Matthew Stafford. I don't think anyone's running out there to grab him, even though hey, he had 3 touchdowns and no interceptions last week. He also threw the ball. He was like top 5, top 6, just behind Ben Roethlisberger, Matt Ryan. Matthew Stafford threw the ball 45 to the last times. And when you're looking for numbers, you like wide receivers that have targets. I like for your quarterbacks to have attempts. So that's a lot. 45 attempts, 27 completions. Some quarterbacks didn't throw the ball 27 times. Again, we talked about Kirk Cousins. So yeah, I like that. Those are 2 quarterbacks you can start. I feel pretty confident about this week.
Mike, what about you?
Okay, so my guys is Derek Carr because he has Kansas City and he's available in a lot of leagues, at least most of the leagues I'm in. And I just feel like he's going to be a guy that gets you, 350 and about 2 or 3 touchdowns. And then my other guy's Josh Allen, who has the New York Giants, who I just feel like are very exploitable, and Josh Allen can get the job done. So those are my guys.
All right, guys, that is it for today's show. But before we jump into the outro here, I want you guys to know about the other shows that we do each week. So it's not just the Thursday weekend preview, but we also have the Sunday Blitz that we do every single Sunday, where we answer every single question that gets posted in our Sleeper Wire chat and on our Facebook page. And you can call in live. And Mike, I believe you run the Sunday Blitz, right?
I do, yeah. It's been a blast, man. We've been getting a lot of calls already. We started about an hour earlier. We started 10 a.m. Eastern now because last year it just...
wow.
That is sweet. Yeah. That is so sweet.
That's nuts. I was on about every third one or so last year, and the Sunday Blitz is always fun. There's rapid fire start-sit questions. It's awesome. Don't forget to check out our great... Do what?
No, I was just saying, I wish you guys recorded the Blitz because sometimes I want to hear it, but I'm like caught up doing other things in the morning, whatever.
When you put it out on a Monday.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, it's weird.
I don't want to remember how wrong I am.
Yeah, it's not relevant anymore.
It's like you want to be the one to bring up your right calls, not to have people point out the wrong ones.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It is what it is. Don't forget to check out the Great Debate Show, which comes out every single Tuesday. So we pick 2 players who are owned in less than 50% of leagues and do a debate-style argument between them. Real short show, usually between 12 to 15 minutes long, perfect for the drive to work. Over just who to pick up on the waiver wire. The weekend recap, which comes out on Tuesday as well, and then the Wednesday live mail sack, which answers every single question that gets posted, every single call. And last week was at least an hour of calls every week, isn't
it? Yeah, at least.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Also want to give a shout-out to the other shows in the Sleeper Wire Network, Break from the Grind, Dynasty Wire, The Fantasy Fam, and The Fantasy Champs. Check out all of those other shows. They are great. And please check out our Patreon page. I decided, without talking to anybody else, I was going to run this promo. Anyone who pledges $10 a month to our Patreon page, starting this week, and does it all season, is going to automatically be entered into the Sleeper Wire Pro-Am and Listener League for next season. So the Patreon page is something that we do to, help people get their meds for the prevention and treatment of chronic Lyme disease. And we were able to raise over $2,300 to get medicine for the people who needed them, including Rob, who's the one we do the show. So every little bit does help, and we want to give you a little bit of a reward. So if you pledge $10 for the whole month, you'll be automatically entered into the Pro-Am Listener League for next year. All right, follow us on Twitter at Sleeper Wire Show. Hoos is on there at Hoos the Prophet. Mike is Dirty Jobs 21, and I am Prof_Chris SW. And then follow us on the Sleeper app at Prophet Hoos, Dirty Jobs, and Professor Chris. Mike, Hoos, thank you so much for joining me this week. Everybody else, we'll catch you next week.